Hello. Hello from the Design Automation Conference 18 in San Francisco. I have the pleasure to be with Richie Jug from Cadence Design System, which is Senior Group Director. It's a complicated title for me. Okay, so I think that's what Richie wants to tell us, that IP have become more and more necessary, more and more useful. And one of the reasons is the fast evolution of the standard. People have to react quicker, the designer have to more need and to do quicker when they build an ASIC to get the last generation of IP. So I think he will explain you why he thinks that there is a kind of speeding up, which is good for us in the IP world. So please explain us.
Welcome and a pleasure to discuss about it. What's happening in the industry, you can look at the data center in high performance computing or in the processing world and even in the automotive industry. As we move towards the age of AI and machine learning, there is a huge amount of growth in the data structures which are happening around. And this is basically fueling back into the SoCs which have been designed, where we are looking at protocols like PCIe Gen 4 and Gen 5, the bleeding edge emerging standards for connectivity, as well as on the Ethernet side and the PHY side, folks are looking at 25 gig, 50 gig and 100 gig, specifically on the high-speed connectivity. Traditionally, if you look at the PCI growth path, the PCI Gen 3 to Gen 4 took a good amount of time, where the Gen 3 was prevalent for over a period of 3 to 4 years, and the Gen 4 came in on board. But as we see in the standards body, the Gen 5 spec is already being ratified, already being spoken about, even before Gen 4 products have been commercially deployed in the market as mainstream. This phenomenon never happened before, where you had a next generation spec being ratified even before the current generation was being deployed in mainstream. And that speaks a lot, because that puts pressure on the designers when they are designing the new SoCs today, whether they should be designing on Gen 4 or Gen 5. And at the same note, Cadence is enabling this front-end frontiers for designing in terms of earlier time to market by enabling the industry by giving these IPs much ahead of time and working with the alliance and the standards body. We see a similar trend happening even on the Ethernet side, where you see the Ethernet standards were quite much in the plateau phase for the 10 gig segment in the early 2010 timeframe. But moving forward from 2012 or 2013 to 2018 as of now, we have seen 25 gig, 50 gig and 100 gig standards being ratified in 802.3bs. Again, a phenomenal speed in which these standards are ramping up and getting ratified, which puts a pressure on the design team, on the organizations who are designing these complex SoCs. It can be high-end processing elements, network processors, or switch fabrics, and they are looking forward for folks or experts like Cadence to enable their design end on stacking multiple and hundreds of these IPs or these PHYs on these complex designs. So the support not only comes from the IP, but also comes from the tool and the infrastructure, how Cadence is enabling these front-end on the cloud so that the end engineer who are working on these designs have a quicker access to these IPs and the tool sets, plus the integration ease, because we tested out to make sure these complex designs or our solutions can meet the requirements of these SoCs, which are targeting terabits of data flow through them. Similarly, on the automotive stuff, it's the ASIL certification, the emerging standards for audio-video connectivity for automotive. All of these emerging IPs today are there in our portfolio. Cadence is actively participating in the standards body and enabling the front end of its IP portfolio for these particular market segments.
Okay, so we understand more application, fast standard evolution, and Cadence is there to prepare the portfolio that the people need. Okay, impressive. So thank you very much.